Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to my little update video. There were not a ton of updates, but just enough that it was going to be a long email, just easier to do an in-person sort of chat. I don't always get to chat with you guys on co-op each and every week, so I thought this would be maybe the best way to explain to you all that we chatted about. It just was ending up being a longer email. So firstly, I just want to thank Erin. And you'll see me look down because I have my laptop on my lap of my notes of what we discussed at the meeting. So firstly, thank you, Erin. It was a fabulous meeting, fabulous hostess. We had a great time, wonderful food. It was a beautiful location. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for everyone for bearing with me on getting this video out. Like I said, I intend to make an email, but it was just going to be long. So this is a little faster. And I was working on doing the 1099s for our contractors this week. So this is my next project, is get you guys just an update of the meeting, get your enrollment forms out, like I said, and then we'll have our March 17th open house. So those are kind of the logistic things coming up. Attached to this email, in addition to this video, you'll have the calendar, budget, and upcoming 25-26 class schedule with any reflected changes. And for the calendar, no, it's basically the same thing, just Easter moves around. It's the same schedule we've done. It's been working really well. There was a move to do less summer days, but just the needs for the primary classes. It's worked really, really well to get 15 weeks in before December is over. And that makes their curriculum work effortlessly. And that's just been a huge blessing. The teacher training you'll see on the calendar is bumped back to 2 Saturdays prior to co-op start date. We had tried doing it the Saturday before, but for the new moms who come in, that's just not a lot of time to look at what you've just learned. You only have Saturday evening and Sunday, which most people go to church. Not enough time, so they need a full week. I do need my returning teachers to come. And even though there may not be like a ton of brand new people, most people are teaching in a new role, and it's really great to have my senior teachers or whoever has taught that grade before or that class before to let them know the pitfalls, what to expect, like really focus on that, or you don't have that much time for this, so you need to focus on these things. Just launching them like for a strong start. And there's no way I could do every single grade class subject. So I really do need the returning moms to come and help them get started. Budget. This is our biggest year, our biggest growth year, where we've had 80 students, including the preschool and toddlers. And so it also was our largest income budget yet. So we had increased enrollment as well as increased drop-offs, especially in like the upper school. Last year, it was suggested to increase my savings budget, which I did, and that gives us a comfortable cushion in case unexpected expenses arise. And also, it's just good to have savings. So it's great that we're in a position where, I remember the very first year, I think when I started, like any business, you invest your own money. So I think I was probably like in the ballpark of like 15 to 20,000 invested in books and everything. And I was, my children were paying. And then, by year 3, like we were, my children were no longer, I didn't have to pay for them anymore. Like they were just, free to come to co-op, which is, was a blessing. And, and then we were, doing well and breaking even. And now we're in a position where we have a little savings, which I think is really wonderful and just kind of a sign of a healthy business growth. So I think we're all in a good position. Next year, we'll have the first year. Well, we'll see if there's a 10th grade class. There will be, in 11th grade. But some new things. The first year we'll have a full load of sciences. We've never had that. The first year we'll have every grade except for possibly 11th grade. We'll see if we have, we do have 11th graders, but offering 11th grade classes. But the next year, the year after that, we should fully have a full schedule of classes. So it's definitely, it's like, wow, looking back from when we started with just like 12 kids, so it's kind of cool to see that all happen, and God's working through it all. Praise God. So yeah, I've needed to increase the budget in nearly every category because of inflation, and also just increased expenses. We have more kids, so we'll need more of the things, like more blazers. I remember when blazers used to be, like, if I was good and I got them on a deal, I could get them for around like $25 with a 50% off coupon. I haven't seen a 50% off coupon since COVID. And the price has increased. So now I'm getting blazers around $60 to $75 when I used to maybe get lucky and get them for like $25, $30. So it's fine. God's provided. We're doing fine, as you can see in the budget. If there's any overage in the expenses budget, it will just go into savings. Cost. We didn't discuss this, so I'll just discuss this now. Like last year, I'll continue to grandfather stay and serve prices for what you paid this year. Just like last year, if you enroll by open enrollment, which is March 17th. So exact same policy as last year. This is this special reserve time where you enroll early and let me know if you are committed on coming back the next year. And that's really crucial because all the moms, who are teaching and staying and serving will want to know really, like, as soon as possible, going into June for sure, what classes they are teaching. So they have all summer to look through them, learn them, watch teacher training videos that Memorial Press makes. So it is, Caitlin and I will really begin formulating our schedule somewhat before the year is over. And then we pretty well have to have a working schedule by the start of summer. It will change as we get new enrollment, but that's something we have to do. So that's kind of why we offer that early enrollment benefit. And so the grandfather policy only applies to stay and serve. But if you are a drop-off mom switching to stay and serve, I'd be glad to grandfather you into the current 2024-2025 stay and serve price. That's no problem. Again, just so long as enrollment is completed with enrollment fees. So it's both, it's two things. It's the signed document and the fees, not tuition, but the fees, the enrollment fee, the one family fee, by March 17th. For drop-off families and new stay and serve, I will, and maybe always, to keep up with inflation, raise prices 3%. And that's just good policy. It's not a chunk of change at all. 3% is pretty minimal, but, and honestly, inflation, just, evidenced by the blazers or things you used to buy at the grocery store, inflation's risen a lot more than 3%. But anyway, that's for now. That's just what I'm doing. For sure, always the drop-offs will be raised because I always raise, the drop-offs are the ones that pay for the tutors, and I always give the tutors a 3% raise to keep up with inflation, and also as a thank you for returning. It is such a huge benefit to have a tutor come back who knows our ways, knows what I've trained them. That's truly invaluable. So as a thank you to them, you will keep making more money with me if you stay with me. Again, it's not a huge chunk of change, but it is something to say thank you for coming back. Okay, and class schedule changes. So here's where I'm going to do this in order of grades, starting with the littlest ones. And that way, if you need to jump off the video or you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can just jump off. Okay, junior K, not a schedule change, but wanted to say we will plan on having a junior K. I know that was mentioned, I'm not sure if we have space. After chatting with some of the moms, I think we can get creative, and even at our current location, we have space, we can find space for an additional 2 classes that I would want to create, to go from 12 rooms to 14. And we don't use all 14 rooms all the day because we do combine at times, but at times we need the 14, like Latin and composition can be spread quite a bit. So we are looking for a larger location, as you know. We talked to, might as well say this now, this is a good time to say this, First Southern Baptist, kind of by Fashion Square. can only host like 70 people. They have a permit issue with the fire department. So that church is out. And honestly, if we have to stay at Christ Church Anglican, like I said, I think we can definitely make it work by utilizing like the parish hall, the foyer, before we go in the sanctuary. So I think there's some spaces that we would just need to get permission, but I think we could maybe increase our size a little bit going in that direction. Caitlin and I just did a tour at Arcadia Gospel, and the people that gave us the tour, 2 people, were very excited, like totally in our corner. So then it's just going to be a matter of the church deciding that, but I think that would be a step up in terms of like classrooms, similar akin to like Camelback Bible Church. So yeah, so it'll just be in the Lord's hands. Like I feel really comfortable. We've got a great location now. They love us. Great grass area. So lots of great stuff. And it's working. Like we are having an excellent year. It's working, right? But I think this other church would be, like I said, a little step up in terms of the classrooms. And so we'll just see. I feel at peace about that. Either way, we'll have room for a junior K. Okay, so now class schedule changes. Kindergarten, first and second, we have done the complete 2-year cycle of the Beautiful Feet geography curriculum. And it was so fun and so good. It is in some ways a little repetitive to our enrichment, that it's very literature focused, and then enrichment is very literature focused. So not bad, just what did we want to do this year? So I threw out, we were open to like a lot of ideas, and there wasn't too much discussion. I threw out the idea of returning to math, but knowing that I'm not sure if we'll have math in the afternoon, depending on where choir goes, but keeping it a math game focus, really focusing on memorizing the math facts. Kindergarten, they're learning a myriad of things building up to, addition facts. First grade, we'd focus on addition facts. Second grade, subtraction facts. And I have pins for all that. We've done it in years past. And then we would use the curriculum, math facts that stick, and addition facts that stick, and subtraction facts that stick, made by well-trained mind, P-Cell Press. And then kindergarten, we would just echo like what they're learning in like the Moria Press scheme of things. You're learning at some point coins, and we play games. We have teaching instruction, play games for that. So that's the idea on that. And if you have more questions, we can chat about co-op. I'd be happy to discuss. First and second grade, the curriculum on teaching weeks, it might be a little longer, but on the game, just when they already know the rules and they're playing the next week, it might only be like 15 minutes. So we're going to ask that they also bring cursive, which is cool. I'm really happy to bring cursive back. Memoria Press has them start cursive in first grade. And it's real gentle introduction, just learning the letters and how they go together. And we maybe wouldn't, on like especially the teaching weeks, get to the cursive. So just be understood that they'll have it, and not every week will we have time for the cursive, but probably we'll need it on some of the weeks where they get done with their games pretty quickly. Okay, moving on to third and fourth grade. This is just standard. We're doing Greek Myths next year. We'll finish Story of the World, and then next year is Greek Myths turn. For 5th and 6th grade, we discussed leaving geography at home. I do want to keep states and capitals for 3rd and 4th. I feel like it's just, at that age, it's such a helpful class. It was to me. But when you get to 5th and 6th, they're a lot more independent. Geography is a pretty cut and dry, other than maybe playing some games. So that one's pretty easy to delegate at home, we feel like, more so or less so than literature. And especially 6th grade literature with Robin Hood, there's morality issues, quite a bit of death, King Arthur, morality issues. Those particular literature books are really important, led by a parent, and sometimes we get busy at home. It's like, just read books, just read the books, and we don't have time for discussion. Memoria Press really shines in their literature, so that we felt like that was a great, let's try this year doing literature for 5th and 6th grade and leave Geography 1, Geography 2 at home. They've got great discussion guides for the teachers that make leading these classes effortless. 3rd and 6th grade science. So this is 3rd and 4th do science together, and 5th and 6th do science together. There was general consensus to slow Apologia down and give more time to really dive deeper. We have done the 2 books in a year to try and get more content in, like Zoology 1, Zoology 2, then Zoology 3, and like Anatomy and Physiology. And it was just a whirlwind. You're really not able to get to the notebooks at all, almost at all. And you're hearing things, but there's no time like for it to sink in, because next week is brand new information. So just doing 1 book. We landed on next year doing Zoology 2. It was of Zoology 1 and Zoology 2, that one was the most fun. And it's swimming creatures, which does cover some swimming dinosaurs. And not all are fish, some are mammals, some are like sponges. We make an ocean box that they get to present everything they've learned, putting something that each week. So that was a really fun book. And we'll do Anatomy and Physiology for the 5th and 6th graders, and definitely go slower and dive deep. So they get to learn about the human body and how it works. Both Apologia textbooks. All right, composition across the board, starting 3rd grade will remain the same. It's that 3rd grade course, Intro to Composition by Memory Press, is just perfect for that age. 0 homework, they're just gaining classical education, keeping it. I love that choice. 4th grade, I want to bring back some of the Memoria Press classical composition, starting with Fable. Fable is the 4th grade year. Anyone could take Fable. It's easier, so I would say 4th, 5th, maybe 6th, if you had someone that was appropriate for. But it's such a perfect book for not only that age, but right out of that 3rd grade class. It's like they're prepping them for Fable, so it's just a perfect fit. They go through a different Aesop's fable each week, retelling in their own way and adding what IEW would call structure and style, but just like things that dress up the writing, whether it's synonyms, adjectives, different forms of description. We call them figures of description. So learning to add in some good components that make great writing. And it's just the beginnings. Their hands are still developing, so the little stories are short, like a paragraph. I think it's just a much better fit than IEW. So we had a big discussion about Memoria Press and IEW, and no one felt like one was like better. We all agreed IEW was necessary. It is not a Memoria Press curriculum. It's its own thing. Andrew Pudua, who made it, he teaches that standard 5-paragraph essay that colleges want in a really well done way. And so my personal recommendation is, if I were to do it for like my kids, it would be Memoria Press composition through 7th grade, and then 8th grade, 9th grade, do IEW, the high school course. Either start it in 8th grade or start it in 9th grade, but do the Memoria Press high school course for 2 years, because it's a 2-year thing, and they have all the IEW they need. Some say, well, now why not start it sooner? I'm open to that. If we have people who are like, I really want it as a 5th grader, my daughter or whoever had it in 5th grade. Here's the only problem I see is that most people, when they go through IEW at the 5th grade level, they're bored with it after 2 or 3 years. So by the time they get to 7th grade, they're like, I never want to do IEW again. I know the method, I'm bored. And here's the problem. And I showed everyone, I printed out the scope and sequence. There's some things that he's so good at, Andrew Pudua, and he doesn't teach until high school, like how to write a 5-page paper, how to write a college entrance essay. So, and there's some structural and style evidence. And so it shows like kind of like a tier of what you learn each year, and what you learn in 5th grade is appropriate for a 5th grader, but it's not appropriate for college level writing, which is the whole point, I feel like, of IEW. It really prepares you for college. We don't need to be writing like a research paper. We don't ever do it at Excelsior until you get to high school. And so I feel like 8th and 9th grade is like such a sweet spot to do that course, or 9th and 10th. You go through those 2 years and you're ready for college. That's my opinion. As you'll see on the schedule, we've allowed for a whole host of options. So the people who are doing IEW, we will finish them out and give them their 2nd year, so that because they need to finish it, it's a 2-year thing. in when you are like at a level, like level A is 2 years, level B is 2 years, level C is 2 years. So those folks need to finish it out. We love speech and debate. It was so great, but the moms and myself included ultimately felt like we were floundering with composition and that we needed more help with composition. So we are bringing back composition. IEW is a 24-week curriculum. So maybe like on some of the harder weeks where it takes 2 weeks to do a paper, or it'd be nice to have 2 weeks, we could assign it, give them 2 weeks to do it. And on the other week, that would have been like learn something new. Maybe that week we can do a little debate in class. There's plenty of opportunities for speaking. We have, as they read their papers aloud to each other. But to bring debate in just a very casual, fun way, like I've been doing in the classes, I think you could easily work that in on some of the extra weeks, just so it's not completely gone. And we also discussed having our own less formal than like NCFCA, less demanding of a speech tournament that's just in-house only Excelsior. So these are some things we can do to keep speech and debate going, but it just felt like, oh, man, on Mondays we only have this much time, and speech and debate is just, it was great, but we all were suffering in the accountability need to have like, it wasn't enough for us. Okay. 8th grade geography, we didn't discuss geography 3, but I'm thinking we actually leave that because we already have geography. We already have literature baked into 8th grade. So that one, unless there's other suggestions, like we could do first foreign Greek because they will have just learned the Greek alphabet, like as a alternate elective class if space permits. But maybe we just keep geography 3. It will be an overview of everything they've learned up until that. And I think you could probably just jump in, even if you hadn't. I know you can. We've done it with kids where they haven't done geography 1 or 2 and you jump in. But it is a review of 1 and 2. It is some new information. Like they go deeper into the political climate and what the countries are like, but they don't learn any new countries. It's just a review course. So maybe we leave that one. Jumping back to composition. Windows to the World is a new literature and composition combined class that we'll do. You'll see it takes up the literature spot and the composition. Like it's like it's a vertical rectangle because it's heavy on both. It's both a literature class and a composition class. It's made by IEW. So it's something new that we're trying and offering and have gotten great feedback from it from others that have used it. So I'm excited to offer that for you all. That is only for high school level. You wouldn't do Memorial Press literature because, again, this one will have both. Also added to composition is SAT Prep Semester 1. That would be good to prepare juniors who want to take the PSAT for scholarships in October of their junior year. Then they would finish with IEW College Level Writing Semester 2. It could even be a good class for sophomores who are looking to take college level writing classes their junior year. So either or I would recommend. If you're a senior, the SAT wouldn't be that going to be a senior. It wouldn't be that helpful because usually you have to be done with taking the SAT by October. So well, maybe, but yeah, I would say maybe it would be good. Okay, nothing new on the upper school science horizon except, like I said, the first year we're having a full slate of upper school sciences. Usually we do bio or chem, but we don't have both. So this year we'll have both. And the nice thing about, I do like to be flexible. Like, what are the needs of the co-op? We can change if we need. But like one of the things that's nice about offering the same classes every year, like when we hone it in, this is a good course, good brand. Let's, sure, there's always shiny new crayons, but like we get really good at it is the nice thing. We get really good at things and we invest in the things needed for that course. And it becomes more of like a wheel that starts to turn. So we have a ton of like the needed apologia stuff. We keep buying more microscopes every year, which is great. So this is a really huge benefit of Excelsior as like our science department is getting deep, right? In terms of investment and also just expertise. We've done it a lot. We have seasoned teachers. So that's really cool. Really great benefit Excelsior can offer. Moving into 10th grade. We would offer material logic, that's a 1 semester course, and also medieval history, which is a full year course. So how I'd like to do that is students would need to keep up with medieval history in the fall, following the progression. Then once material logic ends, they're done with logic at Excelsior. They've completed all 3 logic courses. Then second semester, they would pick up with medieval history wherever it would be in the curriculum manual. Rising 11th graders. This is something you need to consider. I'm really speaking to parents when I say rising 11th graders, but parents of rising 11th graders. You would want to consider whether you want to circle back and take the 10th grade, quote unquote, 10th grade history and literature classes offered versus continuing on to the 12th grade track. I want you just to be aware of that because many of the 10th graders are taking the quote unquote 11th grade track, which is Dante, Cicero, Augustine. We didn't have a 10th grade track this year. But just be aware if you continue to the 12th grade classes and you actually plan on being Excelsior in like 20, I don't know, when the kid is truly a 12th grader, then you will have run out of classes, or you would have to send them back to the 10th grade classes when they're like 17, 18. And again, they're called 10th grade, 11th grade, but at this point in high school, like any of those classes are good for anyone. We just call them by their name, like, oh, that's City of God class. So it's good for any age, but just be aware of that nuance. If you move forward and you stay long enough, you'll have to move back at some point. So would it make more sense just to do the flop this year or this upcoming year? And you did the 11th grade, quote unquote, classes, literature and stuff this year, and then flop it over and do the quote unquote 10th grade ones next year. Something to think about. Okay. At this time, I don't plan on offering the 11th grade classes that we just had, which was Dante, Cicero, Augustine. I don't see a need for them with the current enrollment, but I'm not saying no because I'm learning my lesson from last year after I said we weren't offering the 10th grade slots, and then we had a lot of true 10th graders enroll. So tentatively planning on not offering them, but I am open to it if we get 3 students, at least 3. I like to have at least 3 for a class in case one's absent, you still have 2. So I'd like to get, if we have 3, it could be a tentative opening. New this year, not like brand new, but new to this year, we will have 12th grade classes. We taught them in 2023, 2024, but they weren't needed this school year, but we'll be bringing them back. I don't have any requests for higher levels of science, such as physics or AP, anything science. When those are needed, we can fill those spots, but it's also nice to be able to offer the 11th and 12th grade history courses, which are college level. You can clap out of them, or if you can do an AP exam at a local high school if they'll take you for college credit. They are college level courses. I decided in that same in composition spots to offer government and economics for 11th and 12th graders who are done with composition. Some have just done all there is, right? And some colleges do require those courses. Teen Pat can count as American government, I believe, if you take it for 4 years. Would that need to be in high school, I wonder? I don't know if they count coursework done prior to high school. It's typically the rules is like, it's only counts what was done in the high school years that goes in the transcripts. I'm not sure, but I have heard that and read that. So about Teen Pact, so you can look into that one on your own. But it would be cool to offer it at Excelsior, as there are some colleges that require it. Not ACU, but or maybe even GCU, but I think at one of the, I don't know. You have to look into your schools that you're interested in. Okay, the last thing I want to discuss was Latin. I probably should have discussed that up at the top when we were talking about 5th graders, but I'll just put a bookmark and let people know it's at minute 29 is when we'll start talking about Latin. It was a longer discussion, so I want to give it just a full breath here. So there was a request to slow 2nd form Latin down, or possibly 3rd form into 2 years, and the request was well received, but I hesitate on that one and to agree right away to that. And I'll want to reach out to Highlands Latin Kentucky and talk with their Latin teachers too and get some counsel. But just my own experience, these are the 3 reasons why I'm hesitating. There is, and no, like always, just know right off the bat, if ever there was a year where a student was struggling with any course, there's always the option of repeating it. There's so much work in Latin, so much that we do, almost like a math course, that if we didn't get the first time going through it again, I don't think you're gonna be bored by it. It'll be easier, and you won't like, oh, I remember this. Like, how could you remember everything in that Latin book? So I'm sure it could be good for some. But let me talk about how I think that we can do, how we are already doing better, and I think we can continue to do better. That maybe that won't be a necessary thing. So the first hesitation I'll say is to slow it down for everyone, just across the board. Everyone in second form takes it in 2 years. For me, the hesitation is it has ramifications that can't be undone. You cannot, people think, they'll say to me like, oh, we're gonna, we'll do first form this year, we'll try and do second form over the summer, and then we'll catch up. There's no way. It is a solid 33, 34, 35 week curriculum, and summer's only like 14 weeks. Like, there's no way you could ever like, oh, we're ready to catch up now. You can't. It's just, I've had some students who have worked really hard and done like 2 weeks at a time, but I always give the caveat, like, you need to have perfect memorization. Parents need to be making sure. It's really not a norm thing. So, anyway, the fact that it really couldn't be undone is like always like, okay, this is a very permanent decision. It's not like just changing a writing course and we can offer a different one next year. Like, this is very permanent. So that's the first thing that makes me like slow down on the decision there. Secondly, okay, so actually point number 1 that in my head is that they would never be able to get to the last year of Latin. Which I know when you're in the thick of the grammar, you're just like, why do more? I don't want more. Like, if I have to do 12 years, 11 is fine. But this is where it's like, you're in the middle of it, and it's good to, hear perspectives from people who've gone all the way through. So I'm trying to think if there's anything like Latin to compare it to, but basically you do 4 years of grammar, first, second, third, and fourth form. You're learning the grammar of Latin. It is a bit tedious because it's like when you want to learn to play guitar, maybe that might be a similar comparison. And when you want to like out the gate play a song, but no, it's like super slow. Or like my daughters wanted to go to ballet, and they taught them a lot of stretching, and it's like you had to learn principle. You're like, I just want to dance a whole dance right now. I didn't know there was so much discipline involved. So you do your 4 years of grammar, and then you have Henley 2, which is like a recap of the 4 years of grammar, but you start getting into reading. And then after that, it's like really fun. Like, you're building on your fluency, and you're able to do history and Latin at the same time. They read Caesar's Gallic Wars. You're able to do prose. Cicero, he's like one of the best speakers in the world ever. You get to read him in his native language, Latin. And then the last year of Latin is the Aeneid, and the students will read it in Latin and prepare for the AP exam. So and that's college credit. They wouldn't have to do 8 credits, because Spanish is a 4-credit course in a college. They wouldn't do 8 credits to a whole full year of Spanish or something. They would have Latin instead to fulfill their language requirement. I'm working right now. This is something since the summer I've been talking with Katie over at Highlands Latin Phoenix, is getting accredited, and that would be a possibility for me with her accreditation to borrow it, or lend it, or I would establish an AP class in her name because she's accredited. We also have Great Hearts that we haven't reached out to, so we really haven't chased every dog down the hole on how we can get this AP test for students, but for sure, we have students right now that I would see as being able to take the AP exam, pass it, and get college credit. We for sure have students who have that ability. So to slow everyone down would mean, certainly in any class, there's some who should go on and they could take that college class. I wouldn't want to make that like a rule and a norm. This is just my hesitations. I'm not saying no to anything yet, but just walking you through my hesitations. Okay. Second reservation, like I said, well, I guess I can combine them both. I had notes here, but I'm getting ahead of myself, is that it really is the most fun. So you're you're doing less of the fun and just dragging out the grammar years. And I'm sure you're saying right now, like, well, if it's not done with excellence, like, what's our option? Well, let me get to that. I have some solutions. I think they're going to help our Latin students. Okay, and thirdly, this is where I'm getting the solutions, is I'm wondering if those who felt like second form was difficult, maybe if there wasn't a deeper level of support that had been baked in all along. And again, this is from me as a leader, like learning that maybe it would have been less challenging or more helpful to students. So effective immediately last week, we already implemented a vocabulary test that's going to be first form and above every week without fail. I know in one of the classes, almost everyone bombed except 2 students. So right there, that shows me we need to work on vocabulary. Latin only gets hard when you don't know the words. So a lot of the students are really motivated by, I know in my class, in Henley too, we tried to play a review vocab game and the kids couldn't because they didn't know their words. Very, all of them, exceptional students. So immediately we started doing a vocab test and the kids came back the next week knowing their words every single week, doing really well. So that was hugely impactful. And I feel like we just need to give them that layer of accountability, because what does Excelsior exist for? It exists for accountability and community. And so having the accountability, they must do their vocab. When I would teach second and third form, we were much smaller. I had, a handle on all of the Latin classes, and they were not allowed to come to my class unless they knew their vocab. If they didn't know their vocab, I would drill them. I'd pick random, like 3 words. I could have done a quiz. That would have been a lot easier, right? But I didn't. I just drilled them audibly. If they didn't know, and I only had 4 students, 3 were my kids, and then another 1 or 2, I would send them outside, and sometimes it was my kids, to study their words. And so they were missing class time, getting stuff done because they didn't come prepared. So that was the idea. So I wasn't mean about it, but that was just, everyone knew Mrs. Abello's standard. You don't come to class unless you're ready. If you're not ready, you need to go outside for your own benefit, because this is going to be useless to you. When you don't know your words, it's confusing. You can't tell when the word has changed because you don't remember the original flashcard form. You don't know the gender, so you don't know what adjectives go with it. If you don't know the declensions, the conjugations, and that's foreign to you, you won't understand how it changes. You'll be looking up in the dictionary every 5 seconds, and the dictionary won't make a lot of sense to you either. So it really does all come from, the most important thing is vocabulary. I find that they typically have an understanding of the translations. It's just the vocabulary. They don't know, or possibly the grammar forms. They've forgotten, the 3rd declension or something. They need to brush up on that, or the 5th declension. And we do have the recitations in class. So I feel like of the 2, the accountability of doing the recitation every week, they are actually much better at that. Like they know the irregular vocab words, because we'll say them like, dico, dicere, dixi, dictus, like we'll say dictus, we'll say the irregulars, so they know those ones. We've done very well at the grammar recitation. The teacher recitation stuff, like that's been very impactful, but we don't have time to recite the vocabulary and drill it. So vocab tests, accountability, that I think is going to be huge. Then there was discussion about how maybe we just need more time in Latin. Like we just need more time to do more on Mondays. And that is true of every class on Mondays. The curriculum is not meant to be a 1 day a week curriculum, right? Like we have to have, but I understand that some subjects are a whole lot easier for moms to help with in the remainder of the week. And Latin is more of a challenging one. So effective immediately, we're doing for second form and third form group online tutoring. And this is what I often would do with my classes. So the things that I'm thinking, like, what did I do in the beginning years that we had like 100% success with those classes, and what has dropped off that we can find a way to put back in? So moving forward, I may not always be the online tutor. I may hire Anya or someone to do that for me, but I do. So these last 2 weeks I've done third form at 10 a.m. and second form at 11 a.m. And we would do what I'm doing on those days, we would do in class. We are doing in my Henley class, where I sit there and we figure out the translations together. And sometimes I don't know the answers, and that's fine, because there's probably a student who does. So I'm learning too, but I have the answer key in hand. And I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty decent in Latin. But yeah, I'm okay with not knowing everything, and we get through it together. So, and I have done where there were longer translations, and we would do a Zoom call. This was back in like 2020, 2021, I think. We would do a Zoom call with my kids and whoever else was in that class, and we would finish the translation together, and they seemed to really like that. And so this has been very well received too. So we're bringing that back, where we have the accountability with the vocab quizzes on Mondays. It's the expectation is huge expectation. You need to know your vocab, which is one thing we can't fit in on Mondays. And then Thursdays, Thursdays is the hardest day, and it's the best day to do together because it combines all of your previous knowledge. It's a translation day. It combines all of your previous knowledge, your knowledge of your vocabulary, and then the whole point we're even learning the grammar is to translate sentences. And so that's what it does on Thursdays. And they build. Fourth form, it gets long. Like the English portion that you write, I would see maybe middle end of the year, I don't know, like a full page of handwriting that Anya would have done on the Thursdays. And so that was really especially when we started doing those Zoom calls to finish the translation together. Because look, you're doing it anyway, might as well do it as a group. So that will be something that is just baked into the tuition. You just have a Thursday slot cleared on your calendar. Make that a priority to extend our Latin time together. So now, instead of Latin being just 45 minutes, now Latin is an hour and 45 minutes at Excelsior. So we're gaining that time that we do need on a crucial day and implementing some accountability. I would like to continue doing this. Like I said, we can put a pin on the idea of slowing the second form or third form class and really try this through the end of the year. We don't need to rush on that decision to slow the second or third form class. Let's really give this a good try. And then also, I'd like to speak to some of the Latin professors over at Highlands Latin and see if they have any input to add. It's always good to seek out wise counsel, right? So again, not saying no to anything, but just the permanence of the decision. Let's just not make a decision on that one quite yet. And let's evaluate options and see if some of my ideas implemented are helpful in the ways that we really need them to be helpful. Okay, thank you for coming to the State of the Union address, the State of the Co-op address, and just kind of some changes coming up as you evaluate the changes on there. Just hopefully this makes it a little more clear what we are doing for the next year. And blessings to you for the rest of your week, and I'll see you guys on Monday.